Great economies are built around a great place to live. The quality of life, however, is often rated by a standard of living. The cost to live in St. George is a bit higher than the national average, while the wages continue to be lower.
Washington County wages are below the state average, and below the national average. And so bringing up our wages is definitely something that we need to be looking at. And oftentimes, in those service industries, those are lower paying wages anyway, and we're not the only community that has this issue.
The annual Economic Summit in St. George addresses the current economy, its strong points and deficits. With Washington County's population continuing to grow around 4% a year, a shortage of attainable housing still looms on the horizon.
We're really trying to rally around that attainable housing idea, and realizing that all ages and all demographics of our community deserve to have adequate and affordable housing. The biggest gap are people who make less than 80% of our area median income. And so that means Washington County's area median income, which is what a household of 4 would make, is $67,500. So that's 100% of the area. The AMI is $67,500. So 80% of that, we're looking to house that portion of the population. And right now, that's about 41% of our population.
Any household paying 30 to 50% of its gross monthly income on housing is considered cost burdened. The majority of those who are in need of attainable housing are in the workforce, and many play vital roles in our community.
We're talking about our school teachers, we're talking about our public service officers, we're talking about our firefighters, but there's not a stigma around the income level. And that's one of the areas where we also want to make sure that we don't put a stigma on those wages, because it's a needed service in our community and we love it. It's also our young professionals, our college graduates, our kids that are now young adults, that we want them to be able to stay living here.
The Housing Action Coalition is a group of community stakeholders and concerned citizens working to increase attainable housing for area residents. The group, which came together about 6 months ago, is looking for any options to open up that vision. They found that in order to be attainable or to even build a home, people need to find land and end up paying higher impact fees for roads and development.
The further out you go, the cheaper the land's going to be, but because of our cost of transportation go up so much, as we're past the suburbs now, we're way out there.
Some developers are already seeing the value of building to suit the needs of those who can't afford a large home. They are taking advantage of IRS tax credits to create attainable housing.
Red Rock is a 60% of the AMI. That means someone or a household making just over $40,000 or less will be able to rent at Red Rock at Sienna Hills Apartments. That's a huge sucker punch, gut punch to the crisis that we're in. We're super excited to have 258 of these units available starting in March.
We want to address all kinds of different housing needs, and so it's not like multifamily is the answer or only higher density is the answer. We really want to look at infill within our downtown. There might be opportunities for redevelopment on just one lot. There might be opportunities for multiple acres of development for mixed use and commercial and retail all mixed together, as well as mixed incomes.
The coalition is looking for viable solutions from all aspects when it comes to funding and even zoning and building.
And we can bring funds to the table in the form of grants. And what that does, when you don't have to have such a large debt payment to make on a project, you can keep the rents or the price of the units lower and make things more attainable.
15 years ago, the county was struggling to even allow someone to have a garage with plumbing in it, because they didn't want people living in it. And we've come full circle now that we allow accessory dwellings to be rented out separate from the main dwelling. And we feel like this really helps.
The cost to build a lot at R110 lot, so 10,000 square feet, $40,000. That's pipe. Concrete goes up, $8 every 6 months? I mean, it's insane. $1,000 an acre for land, you're $100,000 before you even start to do, it costs, simple math. So that stuff, it needs to change.
Quayle said by creating a multi-pronged approach and through collaborating, educating, and celebrating what works, they are hoping to fill the voids to address the housing needs and challenges in Washington County now and into the future.
Come up with a little bit more innovation in the way we construct a home, or maybe we can, use a different material that we've never used before that costs a little bit less and gets us what we need, and bring the prices down that way, or whatever the case may be.
In Washington County, Melissa Anderson, Community Education News.